is the village called Pyramiden, and it must be one of the most well-known ghost towns in the world, carrying a name that was acquired thanks to the shape of the mountain peak that the village rests beneath. It used to be a mining village and the northernmost coal mine in the world. But what's even more important is that it was built in the days of the USSR. This makes it perhaps the only one place on Earth where socialism truly existed for some time. Now, though, it acts as the most well-preserved outdoor museum of the Soviet era. Truth to be told, Pyramiden has stopped being a ghost town for quite some time already, and people do live here today, but let's delve into it step by step. The Pyramiden settlement is located on a territory that belongs to Arctic Ural. This piece of land surrounded by mountains and a convenient bay was bought by the USSR from Sweden some 100 years ago. There are even remains of the old Swedish mine here, which wasn't used by the Soviets as they built their own one. Coal mining in this area was hard and extremely time-consuming. Instead of submerging underground, miners had to climb 400 meters up to the coal bed, where all the tunnels began. Then again, they could only extract 235,000 tons of coal a year, which made this endeavor economically ineffective even in its best years. In 1998, the government decided to shut the mine down. Therefore, everyone left and the village became fully abandoned. Places like Pyramiden are really great for filming documentaries because here you can learn a lot of interesting things. And by the way, about something interesting. I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles. Nature, history, biographies of real characters, thousands of documentaries to entertain and educate yourself. My favorite shows are about technology and developments that change the world. Among the authors, you can find the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals. CuriosityStream adds new shows every week, and all of the shows are available worldwide. Hi Netflix. Use promo code Norway and save 25%, so your annual subscription will be just $14.99 for the whole year. That's just $125 per month. Click the link below. Today Pyramiden is open to tourists who get here in summer via the ferry from Längerbyn, which I took too. But unlike I always do, this time we won't be able to roam around in our own. You know, I always travel alone and never take guided tours or fixers, but Pyramiden is difficult in this regard, so let me introduce you to Sergey. Serg, wave to the guys. Guys, this is Serg and he will walk with us. Sergey is the most famous guide in Pyramiden. He even took the Norwegian royal family around. Apart from telling stories about this place, he is also responsible for a very important task. Yep, blogging in Pyramiden can only be done with a guard, so goddamn specifics, right? We loaded our weapons, checked into the local hotel and headed out to explore the surroundings. This renovated room with all the necessities cost me around 200 euros. Yeah, it used to be a bog standard Soviet hotel, and some tourists even liked it, at least for the first 20 minutes. Then it was refurbished and turned into a regular hotel, but only on the inside. As for the outside, it's still full of the Soviets. This hotel is naturally named after the village. It made me quite nostalgic after the heaps of Norwegian hotels where I spent my last months, and here's why. The hotel was a well-organized bar where we met some tourists, and a restaurant where Sergey and I had a borscht, a traditional Ukrainian dish, and it wasn't bad at all. Prices here are far from the Soviet though, they are very Norwegian. Then Fully recharged, we finally took to town. Of course, the first place that associates with Pyramiden while walking here is Chernobyl. But unlike it, this town is literally untouched. As you may remember, Chernobyl of today is akin to concrete jungle, where all the streets, squares and the stadium are filled with trees, the roots of which break up the asphalt. Most buildings deteriorated there, and as a complete opposite, even the wooden houses in Pyramiden, which are a few decades old, look as if they were built yesterday. All of this is thanks to the local climate and permafrost. Trees simply don't grow in the Arctic, and other greenery is also nowhere to be seen. Even the village's central street is still in its pristine form, with the lawn looking as if it's being cut daily. While radiation serves as a primary catalyst for tourism in Chernobyl, Pyramiden, on the other hand, has polar bears. In fact, the glacier where they live is only 12 kilometers away, so they are the usual guests in Pyramiden. And this is what the armed guys are for. The grounds that surround the hotel are considered to be safe, and still, a bear was walking by here earlier today, just 10 meters away. Here is proof. And this footage was filmed by CJ Kask, who is part of television crew that arrived in Pyramiden a few days before us. This whitey found his way into the port and thoroughly searched the boat for food. By the way, polar bears can fit into the smallest windows and climb into the buildings, and there were instances of that known in Pyramiden. Luckily, there were no people in Pyramiden that day, so there was no need to scare the bear off, and later he just left on his own.
There are cases when bears intentionally attack people, and it always ends badly. Last year, as an example, a bear attacked a guy who was trying to repair his car. It pulled him out of the car by the skull and dragged him on its way. But luckily the guy was saved. The bear, on the other hand, had to be shot, unfortunately.
Turns out that once a bear even got into the hotel, but at the time, only one guard was inside.
He heard some noise at around 2 a.m., and thinking that it was the staff in the bar, he went down to ask them to keep it down. And it turned out that it was a bear instead. Obviously, the guard was super scared. He shut the door, ran off to get the gun, made a few shots, and the bear climbed out through the same window it got in. What's funny is that there were empty cans of beer and some nuts left on the table, as if the bear had come in for drinks and snacks.
As you remember, Pyramiden was never productive enough in terms of coal, especially compared to their mining success on the mainland. Therefore, the Soviet Union kept losing money on it. Why did they do it? It was just a showcase of socialism. The village's main goal was to show the whole world how powerful socialism is, and it was a perfect example of it. It had everything to make the people who moved to the edge of the world feel like at home. The village boasted a concert hall, a cinema, a swimming pool, sports ground, and even a small airport. The saunas were designed by an Italian architect, and the roof above the swimming pool was completed in fine wood that had to be brought from the mainland. As you remember, trees don't grow here. In fact, the interiors were designed immaculately here. Food was free, available 24/7, and arranged as a buffet with no limits. Therefore, everyone could take as much food as they wanted. Such things were unimaginable for the Soviet Union back then. People were keen to come here. Wages were twice as big as on the mainland, which meant that a 2-year contract would buy you a flat, a car, or maybe even a country house. Pyramiden locals had much more freedom than the people on the mainland, which becomes apparent once you enter the buildings. The complaints and suggestion book is packed with grateful remarks of how tasty the food used to be. I'm not actually sure if this interests those born after the Soviet Union, but for me, someone born in 1984, this is like coming face to face with a childhood that you don't really remember. This is where they posted their ads, and apparently somebody was selling a TV plus VHS player combo. What a blast from the past. Still, it was the school that raised the emotions to a whole new level.
I had the same book.
This globe doesn't include Spitsbergen, and it seems as if the kids kept being asked to locate it and the exact spot ended up being washed out.
I went to school in the 90s, but it feels like my classroom was identical. It's the furniture, the maps, the board, they all seem the same. What a déjà vu.
Not long ago, a group of teachers who used to teach back in the 80s in Barentsburg came here to set the classrooms the way they used to be back then. Everything you see here repeats and resembles the classrooms of the past. And by the past, we assume the 80s and 90s.
So, you mean that is identical now?
The precision is beyond normal, because these teachers had the same classrooms in Barentsburg where they used to teach children.
The unique thing about Svalbard is that there is a little dust, bacteria or microbes here, which is why everything remains untouched by time, especially the wood, because the humidity is really low. These buildings are over 60 years old, but it feels as if people left only a few years ago. I was absolutely stunned by this wall here, because at first glance you don't get what it's made of, and only when you come closer, it suddenly strikes you. This wall was made of simple and colorful wire by a Pyramiden local. Then there is a gym that used to accommodate not only sports competitions, but also weddings. Sergei took the Norwegian royal family here.
Someone from the family asked me if people were interested in seeing the gym, and I gave them an example. When groups of friends came, some actually picked the ball up and started playing. And so did the royal family. They must have played for at least 10 minutes, and it was fun.
The best part about Pyramiden, though, it is storage of over 600 films. Lera, who used to work with the collection, told me that there were films that had been lost on the mainland. Here, on the other hand, these reels are safe, and thanks to the cold climate and lack of bacteria, they will remain in good condition for years to come.
Вот эта штука, это 10 минут, ну 10-15.
Вот это 10 минут.
Да, 10-15. Вот видишь, тут написано 15 частей фильма. То есть вот в этом фильме 15 таких роллов.
There's even an operational lift that can get you heavier reels from the top shelves. This collection even has a copy of Some Like It Hot, like this classical movie. But the best part is that it is fully uncensored. The film had a few adult scenes, and during the Soviet Union era, such a copy would have never been allowed. And all films can still be watched in the local cinema. We also paid a visit to a hostel where Sergei once brought a team of Swedish designers. They were working on a new wallpapers catalog.
They wanted to see all the wallpapers and loved the patterns so much that we spent 5 hours visiting every room in the building, just so they could document each and every one of them.
Pyramiden is not only about the architecture, it is first and foremost all about the lives of people it touched, and you see their tracks wherever you go. One of the last rooms we saw were the KGB quarters, with the bar on the windows, massive safe doors, and a stove to burn secret documents in. It is where I found files on actual people who used to live in Pyramiden. It's just amazing how many people from Donbass used to work here. I even found some people who lived on the same street in Lugansk as I did. Pyramiden is a humongous museum with untouched artifacts from the Soviet era. This is a museum that never planned to exist.
It is indeed an outdoor USSR museum. You don't even need to get a visa and go to ex-USSR countries looking for some Soviet pieces left, because this is a jackpot that has it all.
Today, this town that was conserved 20 years ago slowly returns to life. But this time, in a new state and with a different purpose. It's now a fully fledged tourist attraction. I see a big irony in everything that happened here. Back in the 70s, there were around 2,500 USSR people on the archipelago. At the same time, Norway was very poor and had a local population of 500 people max. I bet they couldn't believe their eyes when they saw the scale of everything the Soviet Union did here. Now, 50 years later, the tables have turned. There are 3,000 Norwegians here and perhaps 400 people from ex-USSR countries. So, I guess Longyear right now is what Pyramiden used to be for Norwegians back then. History repeats itself. Finally, I would like to say some words about the people of Svalbard, those who choose to live and work in the Arctic. This is Dima, and he is responsible for the bar in Pyramiden. He goes out for a run daily. Do you know that there are bears around?
I have a special route that I've planned for years. And a gun.
My plan was to come here for a bit, make extra cash, and then return back to Ukraine and to my family. But then I realized how amazing this place is. And however this may sound, it is an absolute truth. This is an unreal place, but it's not for everyone.
Do people search for some kind of escapism here?
Definitely those who come to stay.
Yes, moving to Svalbard can be considered escapism, but what's surprising is that people actually don't leave, they choose to stay here forever.
Здесь максимально много удовольствия получаю от жизни и не планирую уезжать в ближайшие годы.
Да ладно.
Ну, у меня был контракт на 6 месяцев изначально, но я поняла уже через 2, что хочу продлиться. Вот, и вот уже 17 месяцев безвыездно тусуюсь на этом чудесном острове и планирую, как уже сказала, столько же, если не больше.
How long have you been here?
Over 1.5 years, and don't forget that education is free here, and this motivates like anything else. I'm a family man now, and my daughter goes to school here. Oh, and by the way, on the second day of when they start school, their tutors take them to the plateau. The teachers kill a couple of reindeer right in front of the kids, and they always executedly shoot them in the eye. Then they cook the meat on the spot. And at the same time, everything is super civilized the way it should be. I arrived in 2016, and it is now 5 years that I have been here. The Arctic pulls you in, as they say, and I'm no different. And I have no idea when I'll leave. No clue at all.
Why though?
I really don't know. Just look around. There's no answer to it.
Before my trip to Svalbard, I already heard that the Arctic pulls you in. I think that during this 1 week on the archipelago, I've actually started to feel it. I still don't know why this lifeless land attracts us and how people can live here, but the fact is that the people have been living here for hundreds of years. I came across a few Hitte while roaming the outskirts of Longyear. These are the summer houses that I've learned about in Norway. Here though, 1,000 kilometers away from the North Pole, these little houses genuinely begin to serve the purpose. It is a place where you can run away from the rest of the world and be alone with your own self. Svalbard is definitely not for everyone, but there is only a way to find out if it's for you. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.